Good evening and welcome to another night of ANZCAR Abruzzi Cup racing. Tonight we've got the Abruzzi Cup Circus at the Watkins Glen International Cup Circuit out at Watkins Glen, New York. Unfortunately, Carl's not with us tonight. He's had computer issues, so you're going to have to deal with myself. But we do have Jake Saddington backing me up in commentary as well. Jake, how are you going tonight, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing good, JP. Looking forward to some more ANZCAR Cup racing at the road courses, which will hopefully mix the order up a little bit tonight with some back markers having a run at the front if they've put the practice in.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to see things mixed up quite a bit tonight with this road course. Everybody's gotten themselves nice and comfortable with the ovals. A lot of the guys, they don't seem to really favour the road courses, but yeah, this is going to be some very interesting racing, and we're leading right off now into qualifying. So we'll see if we can follow some of these guys out and see how they're going on track.
Yeah, I've already seen Danny G and JCW have already left the lane. Same with Koijo.
Yep, quite a few are going out now. I mean, it's only a 5-minute 2-lap qualifying session, so these guys are going to have to get out and they're going to have to put their lap in pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly right. It's even though it's not a long lap, they were doing about 1 minute 10s, 1 minute 11s in practice. But with only a 5-minute session, there's not a lot of wiggle room, and cars that make a mistake on their first laps will be really scrambling to get a time in.
Absolutely, and track temperatures are pretty high. You can see 47 degrees track temperature. It is partly cloudy, so the UV is going to help a little bit, but at those high track temperatures, we're going to see some exciting racing and maybe more than one or two tank slappers.
Yep, but I like a bit of a loose rear end with the drive when I'm watching the car racing, so it'll be exciting to watch these guys set their lap times.
Absolutely, and we're now waiting on Kai Sloggett. He's about to start his first flying lap, and we'll see how they're going. We're going to get some timing coming up fairly shortly, and we'll be able to see how these guys are faring for their qualifying laps. So almost everyone's out on track now. There's a few guys who are still waiting to come out, but they'll probably let the bulk of the traffic go through and then they'll be out for their qualifier.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's low qualifying, so it won't actually be affected by any traffic. But yeah, just seen Jason Martin on his lap has been nice and tidy through the S's. So he's looking maybe to set a banker and then go hard on that second lap.
Yeah, absolutely, and you are right. It is a lone qualifier, so they won't be affected by any traffic. And Jason is looking really nice at the moment.
Yeah, it's sort of the way you got to play these qualifying sessions when you only get given 2 laps. You got to do the clean first lap and then set a banking time, and then you can go aggressive on that second lap to try and squeeze out a bit more time.
Absolutely, and we're seeing the time starting to tumble straight away with Ed Foster going to the top, immediately pipped by Michael Skurlock there with a 1:10.51.
Yeah, they're almost matching the practice times. Jason Martin just a fraction slower than he did in practice. He's gone fastest with the 1:10.5.
And we're not really...
Hardigan's about to cross the finish line for his first lap, so we'll see where he is in relation to Martin.
No, it doesn't look like he's registered a time, so he must have gone off track.
Yeah, so he's already made a mistake. So that's put him behind the 8 ball on this second lap to try and get himself up near the pointy end of the field. Hardigan was the fastest driver in practice. Did a 1 minute 10.3. No other driver was in the 0.3s. Everyone else, Martin was second behind him with a 0.4, and everyone else was behind them.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like he's setting the world on fire at the moment. Martin's done another purple sector, so no improvement at 10.49 for Martin.
Yes, he must have made a bit of a mistake in that final sector. These guys have got 40 seconds left to set a time. Hardigan's now coming around that final corner. It may not be the fastest lap, but it might get him up into that top 10. And he's actually gone fastest, and he's bettered his practice time by 2/1000ths of a second.
Wow, nail-biting stuff there. I didn't see that one coming. I couldn't even see his sector time, so that's fantastic. We've still got Danny G out there on track to complete his final lap. Will he get across?
No, he's not gonna make it to the line. I'm not sure. In fact, he's already done his 2 laps. This is just his cool-down lap.
This is cool-down lap. So there you go at the final lap. Hardigan's put his car on pole. Fantastic work. Now there's 44 laps to go, and anything can happen in this 44 laps.
I mean, exactly right. Tyre wear is going to be a factor. Only the second time they've been on the road courses this year, or this season. So yeah, tyres and fuel will be a factor. It's probably going to be a one-stop race tonight. There's no automatic cautions like there are on the ovals. So if you make a mistake, it's going to really put you back.
Yeah, 100%. So these guys are going to probably be taking the first couple of laps, taking it easy. Let's go through the starting grid as they're lining up, getting ready for the safety car to follow the safety car out. And putting the car on pole is Jason Hardigan with Jason Martin in second, Michael Skurlock in third. Ed Foster's had a good run and brought himself up into fourth place, with Hamish Gallagher in fifth. JCW, Josh Carroll Walden in sixth, Stephen Williams in seventh. We've got Josh Micklemore in 8th, Danny G in 9, and Mirko Dortnak rounding out the top 10. Going to the rest of the field, Kai Sloggett in 11th, Lockie in 12th, 13th place Adam Roswell, Ayrton Smith in 14, Matt Hunter in 15th, Aidan Schultz in 16, Billy Hickey in 17th, Norm Clark in 18th, carrying a wealth of experience there. Stuart Patterson in 19th, Bradley Allison in 20th, Nathan Clive in 21st, 22nd is Devon Stove, 23rd we've got James Roby, Phil Otto in 24th, in 25th Tristan Koch with Raymond Yeager in 26th, and Rossi Johnson with the last spot on the grid in 27th.
Yeah, and couple of guys probably a bit out of position. Kai Sloggett maybe a bit lower than he otherwise would be, and Lachlan Yokoija maybe a bit higher up on the grid than where he would normally be. So that's just proven how different the road courses are. But it's the two Jasons that are still in the show at the moment. They've been in some epic battles already this season, and it looks like this race tonight is going to be no different.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a great start, and we've got all the usual suspects up the front of the grid with Hardigan, Martin, Foster, Skurlock. This is going to be an epic start, I think. It's really going to be down to that whoever gets to turn 1 first and gets through turn 1 unscathed. So fingers crossed we don't see any incidences going into turn 1.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you're at the back of the field, it's better just to take it a bit easier, ease yourself into the race. You can afford to lose a couple of positions at the start if you know you've got the car speed to be able to claw your way back, and especially if you're good on your tyres, you'll gain a lot of time at the back end of each stint.
And that's the thing with these cars, is being able to save your tyres, not let them go off too early. And Martin is the master at being able to do that, at being able to save his tyres, get that little bit extra out of it, and get himself where he wants to be. And so is Skurlock, for that matter.
Yeah, they've shown all year, and it just shows in where they sit in the championship at the moment that they just get solid good results just by being that extra smooth on the car.
And as you can see here, Jason Martin in the Mitch Motorsport car is just sort of easing his way up beside Hardigan, waiting to see what he's going to do. Safety car's going to peel in soon, and then it's going to be up to Hardigan to start the race, and then it's going to be on. Hardigan gets a great start and absolutely leaps away.
Oh, there's been contact, Koijo and Dortnack. They are both off Dortnack, lots of damage. I think that looks like a fair bit of damage to that rear end.
Let's see if we can see this.
That's car 62 and car 042 off. That's going to hurt their chances for this race.
Absolutely, and it just looks like Lachlan just got into the back of the other car and turned him around. So that's really, really disappointing for those guys, and that is going to hurt them.
So it's Hardigan that got a good jump. Martin looks like he's dropped back a fair. He's lost the place on the start. He's dropped back to third. So Skurlock was able to keep on the back of Hardigan on that start. Was able to gain that position early on, and they've actually put half a second on Martin already at the end of this first lap.
Yeah, and it looks like Foster is sort of starting to loom up behind Martin there, and it looks like he's going to really become a factor soon. Foster is definitely on a high at the moment. He's been absolutely cleaning up in the other series, so he's going to be racing with a lot of confidence.
Yeah, and that's all it takes is just a couple of good results, and you start feeling like you're on top of the world. And your driving really benefits as a result once you can drive with confidence, knowing you can place the car wherever you want it and it's not going to fall off the track.
Yeah, 100%. Let's see. Skurlock there sort of falling a little bit behind, but it's still early days. So Hardigan doesn't seem to be getting away with too much of a lead. They're still in touch, so I think game on at the moment.
Yeah, Hardigan, I think at this stage he just wants to build that buffer so that he can then settle into his race and conserve the car.
Yeah, with the sort of pace that we've been seeing out of Hardigan, he's really in the box seat at the moment, but yeah, 3 laps into a 45 lap race, way too early to be calling it. I don't know about you, Jake, but I don't have a crystal ball.
No, me neither. Just been watching some of the action down back. I think it was Billy Hickey who got massively sideways on the exit of the final corner. It looks like he only cost him the one position, and then he's run wide at turn 1 and he's lost another position. He's under threat now. There's a lot of angry cars behind him that are looking to get through.
Yeah, Bradley Allison's right there looking to get through. Looks like he's looking to make a move now, but thinks better of it. Shows the nose and then tucks back in again.
Yeah, so it's looking like the bus stop area is where Hickey's better than the cars behind Allison, Stove and Otto. But I think coming out of the final corner is his weak point, and that's what the cars behind could capitalise on if Hickey's not careful.
Yeah, he seemed to get a good run out of there. And Ed Foster, I was about to say Ed Foster's done the fastest lap of the race, but no, Jason Hardigan now has done the fastest lap of the race with a 1:11.2. No one else is in that sort of time. Michael Skurlock, a 1:11.8, 1:11.8 from Jason Martin, 1:11.9 from Ed Foster.
Yeah, and a 1:11.6 from JCW, so he started a bit further back in the pack, but he's had a bit more pace in the cars in front, or a bit more pace than his teammate, Ed Foster, on that previous lap, so there could be maybe an instance where the two JP Simshed drivers may trade places if Foster believes that JCW has the better pace and is a better chance to get by Martin.
Yeah, that's quite possible. Although I know there's no team rules in the JP Simshed camp. These guys are going to be racing as hard as they possibly can. But I dare say that if Foster doesn't feel that he can make any headway, he'll definitely let JCW through. And we've got our first car pitting in at the moment. No, sorry, I thought he was pitting, but he's come straight out again. And Jason Martin seems to be building a slight lead now. He's out to a 1.3 second lead over Michael Skurlock, and he is looking really good.
Yeah, he's got that buffer now, so now he doesn't have to push. He doesn't have to push 100%. He can just drive at 99, 98%, and that'll be enough, I reckon, at this early stage. Just keep the lead. There's not going to be too much change at the front for the next couple of laps.
And that's the thing. He really wants to start to think about conserving the tyres and getting to that first pit stop, having a decent buffer against Michael Skurlock, and then allowing him to be able to get out in the lead again. He has had a little bit of bad luck in his pit stops, overshot the pit bay a couple of times, so he'll be definitely thinking about things like that this time around.
Exactly right. There's already been some big movers at this early stage. Both Nathan Clive and James Robbie have gained 6 places on their starting from where they started on the grid. So those boys have made the most of that little kerfuffle at turn 1. And they'll be looking to make even more places as the race goes on.
Yeah, they've certainly done really well and been able to move up through the field. And we're seeing some battle packs all the way up and down the field. Bradley Allison and Devon Stove trading places here. Devon Stove having a little tank slap coming out of turn 1.
Yeah, just going to report about half a lap ago, Raymond Yeager completely locked it up. Coming into the bus stop, lost the rear and spun off into the gravel trap, was able to avoid the wall, and he's been able to get going again, but he's lost a lot of time. He's the last car on the lead lap at the moment, and he could be one of the guys that joins Patterson and Johnson that are laps down at this early stage.
Really going to hurt him, absolutely. And these cars that are down the back of the pack, you know, I'd say they're going to be praying for a safety car so they can come in under the safety car. But even at that, they're going to be praying for a late safety car.
Yeah, because of running wide, there's just seen Smith. He's got Norman Clark hounding him at the moment, and Clark's been able to force Smith into a mistake into turn 1. Though the move won't be made into the chicane just yet, not quite close enough to do anything. But the pressure is certainly being applied from the veteran stock car driver.
Absolutely, and Norman Clark carrying a wealth of experience in motorsport as a rally driver, putting plenty of pressure and moving up the field here. But Norman's someone that you don't really want to discount. You really want to keep an eye on him because he will pounce given half a chance.
Yeah, so at the front, Hardigan's just been able to stretch his lead out. It's now 1.9 seconds to Skurlock. Hardigan's just controlling this race at the moment. The cars behind seem to have no answer to his speed, except for maybe Jason Martin, but Martin's down in 3rd and still a fair way behind Skurlock.
Yeah, with the 1:13.2 on that last lap, as opposed to Hardigan's 1:13.4, but Hardigan is just eking out that slight lead. And we saw Raymond Yeager come into the pits there for an early stop, so I'm wondering whether he's looking to maybe try some kind of undercut.
Yeah, I don't know. I reckon that probably more damage induced, if anything. Can't see without any cautions tonight. It's going to be it's a tough ask to make a 2-stop work compared to stopping only once.
Yeah, it's going to be a big ask. And thanks very much, Riley. Riley's viewing saying iRacing won't throw any safety cars. There won't be any cautions tonight, as you said, Jake. So yeah, it's going to be a very, very big ask.
Yeah, just watch Ayrton Smith there. He's just run wide at the second last corner. Has lost a chunk of time again, so he's...
See if we can pick that up on the graphics, Dripping Paints graphics replay.
Yeah, and I believe he lost a couple of places in that mistake, so that's normal Clark through into 15th and James Robbie into 16th.
Yeah, big off there for him. So
there's quite a few battle packs going on at the moment. It's a bit of follow the leader at the front as Hardigan continues to stretch his lead to almost 2 seconds. There's cars that are waiting for mistakes to occur, and they are prepared to pounce on them.
yeah, and we can see Ayrton Smith sort of getting back up there and starting to put a little bit of pressure on Mirko Dortnack, but Mirko's been able to stretch his legs a little bit and get away from Ayrton. So, like you said, it's a bit of follow the leader at the moment, and guys are going to be waiting for other people to make a mistake.
Yeah, exactly right. Hunter's just got a bit of wheel spin on that exit at that final corner. He's gonna have a run on Adam Rousel, but now he has to defend against Nathan Clive. Clive hasn't been able to make the most of that mistake, but he's certainly closed up by a few tenths, and that could be enough to play Clive into an overtake in a few laps' time.
Yeah, absolutely. And while we're talking about that, we're watching Danny G on Kai Sloggett there, putting a bit of pressure on Kai.
Yeah, Danny G's probably a bit further down the order than what he's been used to the last few weeks. Danny G's been in red hot form in this Abruzzi Cup series. He was fighting for the lead at Michigan last week. Different style of racing, which must be hurting his style of driving. Again, as we said at the top of the show, not many of these drivers will be used to road racing, so it's advantage drivers like Jason Hardigan who do a lot of endurance racing on the road courses, and as such, being used to that road racing style tends to help him, and that's why he still has the lead, even as we are on lap 11 now off 45.
Yeah, absolutely. That lead, though, is being cut into a little bit by Michael Skurlock. It's down to 1.2 seconds. So I don't know whether traffic has played any part in that, as we see Hardigan coming up on some lap traffic there. But yeah, I mean, these cars are hard enough to race on an oval, but 900 odd horsepower on a road course, that's through a 4-speed manual transmission. That's a big ask out of some of these drivers, and yeah, like you said, you know, some of the guys are more used to the oval side of things. Some of them are a little bit more used to the a little bit happier on the road courses, and this at the moment is certainly playing into the hands of Hardigan, Skurlock and Martin.
Yeah, the 3 regulars that have pretty much been at the front this entire season, Hardigan, Skurlock, Martin, Foster, they've been pretty consistently at the front. Hardigan may be a bit unlucky in a few races, but you see when you look at the names in the top 10, and they're all the names that are currently top 10 in this race so far.
Absolutely, this has been a monumental year for Hardigan, being really his rookie year. He did a few races last year in the Cup cars, But this really has been what you can call his rookie season in the ANZCAR series.
Yeah, and he's probably one of the standout rookies of the year. He's already notched up a couple of wins, and he's been really fast in the truck series on the Monday night, so which has transferred over to this Cup series.
Yeah, absolutely. He's really taken to this style of driving incredibly well, and it's been working exceptionally well for him. Looks like we might have had an issue here with Raymond Yeager and Phil Otto again. I don't know whether they've crashed or whether they've just had a bit of a moment.
Yeah, looks like. Yeah, I'm just having a look at that replay now. It was at the bus stop, and no, it was two completely separate incidents. Otto just panicked a little bit when he saw Yeager sideways at the bus stop. Yeager's lost the rear end and has hit the wall, hit the Armco on that right hand side, and Otto's just took the safe option rather than take the bus stop. He just went straight ahead, slow down, and it's a much safer route than potentially making a mistake into that bus stop and colliding with Yeager and ruining his race before he can really get into it.
Yeah, good call. And we saw there while you were talking about that, we saw there Hamish Gallagher coming to grief in turn one and getting turned around there, losing a couple of spots and getting going again. Looks like Skurlock is starting to make a bit of a move now. He's eaten into Hardigan's lead. It's now down to about 7/10 of a second. So it could be that Skurlock is playing a bit of a waiting game, letting Hardigan sort of use his tyres up a little.
Yeah, you could be right there. Some massive pace advantage for Skurlock over the last 5 or so laps compared to Hardigan. So it's probably spot on there where Hardigan's tyres have just started to drop off now, whereas Skurlock's hasn't for the most part. Their times have dropped off. They're about 5 seconds slower in lap pace at the moment than what they were at the start of this race. So these tyres have gone off quite severely at the moment. It's whether the tyres can stabilise now, or if they're going to continue to drop away. Maybe we might see some early stops, and it might become a multi-stop race.
That's the thing. We might be seeing guys take that early stop, like you said, and we've had the track temperature come up another couple of degrees to 49 degrees. So that's also going to be playing part of it. But yeah, the tyres on these things, they don't last very long, and they do start going off fairly quickly. And like you said, we're seeing the differences in time there. Jason Hardigan, a 1:15.09 on the last lap. Michael Skurlock, a 14:8. Martin 14.8 and Ed Foster a 14.8, so they're all catching up to the back of Hardigan's car.
Yeah, and JCW must have made a mistake a few laps ago, because he's dropped a fair way off Foster. He's now about 3 seconds behind Foster, but he was the fastest driver on that previous lap. So if he can start clawing back the time that he's lost, he could factor himself in near the end of the race.
Absolutely, and you can see that positions 2 through to 5 are the only cars that are still lapping in the 14. So once again, don't know whether Jason Hardigan's tyres have started to go off, or whether he's sort of playing a game and looking to do a bit of conserving. Doesn't want to sort of get those tyres running too low before his next stop. I mean, they're going to need to run, if it's a one-stop race, they're going to need to run it at least 23 laps before they come in.
Yeah, which is in about 7 laps time. It's whether they can hold on to that point, as you said. That remains to be seen. If you were to do a 2-stop race, you'd have to pit now. Might even be too late. Most of these guys might just be locked into just doing that one stop this race, just because you may not get enough time, or they won't get enough time to really let their tyres do the work.
Yeah, absolutely. And then trying to work your way through the field, if there are no cautions, it's just going to not work for you. And I think right now they're playing a game of who blinks first. So the first in the pits, the next cars are either going to follow them in or come in the next lap to cover them off.
Yeah, exactly, because that gain on new tyres is going to be massive.
Yep.
But that's also the advantage with these multi-car teams, JP Simshed and Mitch Motorsports, that they can play ultimate strategies. They can pit at separate laps to try and give themselves a better chance at getting that race win at the end of the race. Martin will be he's sort of the one-man band at the moment. Same with Skurlock at the moment, with Micklemore and Danny G are back in 7th and 8th, and they're a fair way behind this lead group. So Martin, all on his own, which he will not be used to in this series. He's used to having Micklemore and Danny G helping him out at the front of the field.
Yeah, it would definitely be a different kind of strategizing for these road races. A little bit more every man for himself, but like you said, because they're a multi-car team, they can hedge their bets and they can change up their pit strategies to try to get one of the other cars to the front of the field, or even just try to play a strategy car to see how they're going. Last lap there, all 5 of the cars were in the 15s. As we come across the line, Jason Hardigan a 15.3, 15.2 by Michael Skurlock, 15.1 by Martin, Ed Foster 15.3. So not a great deal of difference in times, but you can see that Skurlock is sort of gaining on Martin in small increments. It seems to ebb and flow with the lap. There are certain points where Hardigan's a little bit quicker than Skurlock, and vice versa. And now we're seeing Hardigan come across some lap traffic, so he's going to be up against some lap traffic fairly shortly.
Yeah, and the one thing that's got to be noted about these cars is that there's a lot of aero wash. You'd surprise, the V8 3,000 pound stock cars, surely they don't have much aero, but they do have a fair bit of downforce on these modern stock cars now. And that often plays a lot of havoc on those high speed racetracks like 1.5 mile ovals and these road courses in particular. The drivers really struggle following one another, and it's often when an overtake can be made, the overtake is often better than it looks because they've been able to fight against that aero wash and still able to make that move.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we see Skurlock, I think, as close to Martin as he's been all race long. Hardigan as he's been all race long. Martin's right up the back of Skurlock as well. So it is really becoming a race now. Hardigan is doing everything he can to keep that gap between himself and Skurlock. It really comes down, like you said, it's going to come down to that next pit stop. And if they're going to stop on cue, we're probably looking around about another 4 laps before one of them blinks.
I reckon maybe lap 22. If lap 21, 22, it's going to depend whether they want to sacrifice the late race pace for a gain with an undercut. So it's going to be Hardigan's very loose. That's going to hurt him.
Big tank slapper going through there, and that will hurt him a lot. He's going to have to go defensive.
Yeah, we'll see if Skurlock was able to get a good read. Skurlock maybe didn't get the run that we expected him to, but now he's right on the back of Hardigan. Is he going to look to make it side by side through the S's? These cars are so hard to put through the S's, so I can't see that being done. And no, he just tucks behind. And it might just give Hardigan a bit of a breather. But now Skurlock in the slipstream now. Can he look at making a move into the bus stop? It doesn't look like he's close enough now. It looks like Hardigan's been able to get a bit of a gap in the straight, and that's exactly what happens. Let's now just follow the leader again through the bus stop. But that would have spooked Hardigan quite a bit, and that might lean Hardigan towards making an earlier stop than he was originally planned to get off those overheating tyres.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. That might spur him onto that early stop after that that incident there, to get him onto some fresh tyres and get him back out again. So let's see if that's done anything.
Yeah, the crucial part is going to be fuel. They've got to know that they can make it to the end on fuel. And it could be that they might be locked into that pit stop on lap 22, 23. I'd expect them to come in at 22 because that first lap on fresh rubber is going to make all the difference in the world. And then we might even see cars try and gamble it coming in this lap, even if they have to maybe fuel save near the end of the race, just to get a bit of track position and a bit of a buffer to maybe get an edge over the rest of the competition.
100%, and you saw Martin there getting the back end of his car out a little bit as he was coming up through the hill. They are really screaming now, but they know that they have to stay out. They need to get as much as they can out of this, but now it's down to who blinks first.
Yep, so see as they're now approaching the final couple of corners.
Lachlan's gone in.
Yep, so he's blinked early. He's down the order, so he's going to fall a lap down momentarily. But he's on that comeback drive. He's trying to get himself back into that top 20. Which he's the
Here we go, Martin and Foster are in.
Yep, so that's as we expected. They're trying to get that undercut gain. So we'll see Hardigan and Skurlock in on the next lap.
So this is going to be interesting because now it's going to be the race off pit road to see who can get out quickest. We'll stay with these guys and see what happens here. They're virtually right behind each other. They've virtually stopped at the same time.
So Hardigan and Skurlock are into the bus stop now, so
they're both moving at the same time.
Yep. So no gains in the pit stop between Martin and Foster. So now it's on them to have the best outlap that they can possibly do, and they need to make the most of fresh tyres. They'll be a bit cold now, but they need to ensure that they are faster than the drivers that are on those worn tyres. Absolutely,
and these guys have got to come in now. They've got to cover off. And no, Hardigan goes around again, and so does Skurlock, and Skurlock gets a bit taily coming out of the last turn, so this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, so that's not what I was expecting. I was expecting them to cover off, but maybe they've already realised that they're going to lose out on track position to Martin and Foster, so they're potentially banking on having fresher tyres for the end of the race and to get past Martin and Foster at the end rather than right now.
It's a possible strategy, and we see JCW, Hamish Gallagher, Josh Micklemore, Adam Rousel all come in for their pit stop. And something must have happened because Hardigan's put on a bit of a lead to Skurlock. I know he had a moment coming through the last turn there on the last lap. I don't know if that's affected him at all through this lap, but we'll keep an eye on these guys, see if they decide to pull the trigger.
And it's got to be soon, surely.
Here we go.
There we go. They're both in.
And Skurlock does the right thing, shadows Hardigan into the pits.
Now we'll see if Skurlock's been able to save a bit of fuel while in the draft of Hardigan. Maybe not much. These cars still put out 900 horsepower, so they are thirsty engines. But we need to keep an eye on Martin and Foster.
Oh, Skurlock just misses his pit, so he has to go back.
Oh, that's gonna hurt him big time. And those guys were already going to lose positions.
And here we go. Martin and Foster are through to the lead, first and second. Hardigan's out now.
Yep, so he rejoins the race. I think he's going to join the track just ahead of JCW. That's a lot of time lost, but he'll be able to make that back, and it's going to be a case of.
Yep, and Skurlock is 1.6 seconds behind Hardigan after that.
Yeah, so that's going to prove quite costly to Skurlock. We know Hardigan's got that early tyre pace, so he should be able to close up on Martin and Foster quite quickly. It is 4 seconds between Hardigan and Foster at the moment, but I expect that to come down quite rapidly.
Their last laps were 11.51 by Martin and 11.8 by Foster. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what happens here as far as the pace with Hardigan, but he's going to be burning up his tyres trying to catch Foster and Martin. So, Foster and Martin. Yeah. So does he sit back and wait for them to sort of use up their tyres and then bring it on towards the end, or does he push now and try to close that gap?
Well, I don't think it's going to be much of a difference because he's still going to be faster later on in the race than Martin and Foster will be, as JCW's actually going to set the fastest lap of the race
at 10.9. Yes, absolutely.
He's only 1.5 seconds behind Skurlock, so that mistake from Skurlock is now going to put him under pressure from JCW. There's a good chance to close in before Skurlock can get his tyres up to temperature.
Yeah, JCW's a cool customer here. He's going to know that he's got the pace in hand, and he's going to be working to really close that gap between himself and Skurlock.
There's a few drivers that have still stayed out already. Dortnack, Clive, and Otto all have not pitted yet, and we're getting pretty late in the race now. There's only 20 laps to go. You'd think they'd want to pit now because they could fall outside the top 15, top 20 if they're not careful.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you know that they're banking on having fresher tyres towards the end of the race, but unfortunately they're dropping 5 and 6 seconds a lap to the leaders, and they've both pitted now. Dortnack and Clive have pitted.
Yeah, just saw that pop up on the timings. Look at that, Foster's still putting the pressure on Martin, but Martin's used to leading, so he won't be feeling that pressure, but he's still going to be on his game to make sure the Foster does not get by, and this is already going to be what looks like a brilliant result for Foster. He looked like he was struggling in practice, but he seems to find that extra gear where it matters most.
He's one of those guys that knows how to put it together for the race, knows where to put the car, knows how to work the strategy. So yeah, he's another one of these guys that are in the box seat. But here comes Hardigan. Last lap by Foster was a 12.1, Hardigan 11 flat. So 12.3 by Foster there, 12.8 by Martin, 11.6 by Hardigan. Hardigan's only 1.6 seconds behind Foster now.
Yeah, so that's the thing. By stopping later, he's cost himself a bit of track position, but he's starting to gain that time back now as the tyres on Martin and Foster are now starting to drop off. They have been dropping off now the last couple of laps. And Hardigan's tyres are 2 laps. Because they're 2 laps newer, it's going to take him 2 laps as long to suffer the same effects as the top 2 guys.
Yeah, you can see, as the lap wears on, Hardigan is just closing the gap. He's now, although he was 1.9 seconds ahead of Michael Skurlock, Skurlock's closed that down to 1.6 seconds now, so he's now coming on.
Yeah, it's what we expected. JCW had that early pace, but now Skurlock's tyres are phased in, same as Hardigan. So that pace between Hardigan and Skurlock will probably stay similar. Skurlock might even close into Hardigan, but those 2 drivers are going to be closing in rapidly on Martin and Foster. Although it sort of stabilised on that last lap. Hardigan was only 0.2 faster than Martin, so now it's going to be slow going for Hardigan. He's got to hope that going 2 laps longer isn't going to cost him at the end.
Yep, absolutely. And we're going to see Martin here coming up on slower traffic.
Yeah, it's
so
the
dispatches
0-3 car.
Dispatches that fairly easily.
Bradley Allison, that was in the green machine.
And if anything, that probably played into the hands of Skurlock a little bit, because he's been able to close the gap a little bit more on Hardigan.
Yep, but he's still got that. He's still got that lapped car to deal with. That's actually hurt him quite badly. With Allison holding Skurlock up through that final corner. And that was actually advantageous for Stove. He actually was able to pass Allison for position because Allison was very courteous.
Actually, the biggest winner out of that was Skurlock with a 12.6 as opposed to Hardigan with a 12.9, Foster 13.3 and Martin 13.3. They actually both did the exact same lap time on that lap.
Yes, that's very interesting. So not quite. That traffic was not quite as it had seemed. It looked like Skurlock was going to come off worse, but the final corner didn't seem to hurt him as much as I thought it would. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, now we're seeing Kai Sloggett all over the back of Danny G.
Yeah, those guys have made some serious gains in the pit stop. These guys were running about 8th, 9th and 10th. Danny G, Sloggett and Micklemore, so they've jumped Williams in the pit stops, and there's some extra points that I didn't think they were going to be able to get. So this is a very good for them.
Yeah, 100%. And now you've got Micklemore coming and ranging up on the back of Kai Sloggett. So yeah, it's certainly going to be on at that stage.
Yeah, Micklemore was a big loser in that pit stop cycle. He was ahead of Danny G when they made their pit stops. So either Micklemore's let Danny G go before they made the pit stop, or his pit crew had been very slow.
Yeah, and we're seeing now Skurlock is starting to do what he did before. He's starting to claw back on Hardigan. Hardigan is getting on the back of Foster. I don't think Foster's going to be opening the door for Hardigan on this one. It's going to be game on for these guys.
Yeah, it's currently sitting second and third now, and Foster is leading the points at the moment, so he's not keen. He won't be keen on dropping the points, and his eyes will still be set on Martin. But he won't risk it because he is top of the points, as there's only 2 races left after this before we reach the playoffs. So every point is going to count.
Yeah.
So you don't want to take too many risks.
Absolutely. I think by the same token though, if Hardigan is all over the back of his car, he might just think I'd rather lose a couple of points and potentially finish the race than have something happen between teammates.
Exactly. And Hardigan is still going to gain a few points this race on Norman Clark. So one extra point is probably not going to make the world of difference. And I think Hardigan will get will have a few bonus points just by leading the first half of that race, and that's probably actually why Hardigan stayed out as long as he did, just to secure those extra points, those extra bonus points.
Yeah, 100%. You can see he's getting closer and closer to Foster. He shows the nose there, letting Ed Foster know I'm here. Yeah,
it's twofold. It gets fresh air onto that front, so it cools the engine down and gives you a bit more aero grip through the corners, and it can worry the car in front, if they're put under pressure. Look at this, Hardigan's actually got a brilliant run. He might make a look into the bus stop. He's not going to risk it on his teammate. If it was any other driver, Hardigan might have dived it down.
And you can see there, Foster's held out wide. Yep.
So Foster's now thinking of that championship gain. He doesn't need to get into a fight. But he's already top of the points at the moment, and it doesn't look like he's gonna lose top spot this race with Micklemore struggling a lot this race. So he's letting Hardigan go through so that Hardigan can chase down Martin. Here we go, Skurlock now looking down the inside of Foster, and I reckon Skurlock is going to be able to get that move done. And in fact, he has. Foster's not fighting, because he knows just that he can. Oh, Skurlock's just gone massively sideways. He was able to catch it.
That's actually been going on since just before the last turn there. Those two have been arguing over real estate. So Skurlock comes out in front, but what that also does is that slows him down, and it gives Hardigan a little bit of breathing space.
Yeah, and I'm going to guess that that's probably the plan in the JP Simp shared bunker, and that's the advantage. That's what these Skurlock and Martin have lacked this race, is they haven't had their teammates up there willing to help them out by putting on a bit of a block to the car behind, just to defend quite aggressively to give your teammate an edge. Oh, and that's Urquijo. He must have hit the wall quite heavily. He's actually been. Oh, he might have got hit up behind. It looks like he might have been helped by his teammate JCW when he was trying to let JCW through. Because Urquijo's just hit the tyre barrier and has been forced to tow. So that's him out of the race.
Out of the race. And it looks to me as though Martin is starting to turn it on.
Yeah, he's got no pressure behind now.
He knows that Hardigan's coming. But Martin is always able to sort of have that little bit in reserve with his tyres. He seems to be able to treat his tyres a little bit nicer than everyone else around him.
Yeah, but the guy that's been the fastest of the top three is still Skurlock. He's half a second faster than the top two drivers on the last lap. Skurlock's been very good on his tyres this race, as we saw at the end of that last stint.
He's one of those guys that you can never count out. He looks like he's down, and then all of a sudden he just comes at you, and he finds that extra pace, and that's what's happening now, I think.
Yeah, he's phasing quite nicely, and that's where for Skurlock, who's a lot easier in the tyres, that's where the final pit stop is going to help him. I just sort of noticed a few cars go wide.
Yep.
Behind the lead group.
Look at this. Hardigan is right up the back of Martin here. He's had a great run out. He's having a look.
Yes.
No. Oh.
Well, they both went for it.
That's hurt them both.
It's hurt Martin more. Hardigan through to the lead.
It's hurt Martin more, but he's not going to give up. They're both going through there side by side.
Martin actually gave Hardigan a lot of room there, and now that's Hardigan now into the lead, and now it's going to be Skurlock putting the pressure on Martin. So Martin will be looking to try and get in front of Hardigan, so Hardigan has to deal with Skurlock rather than Martin.
100%. And that was some brilliant racing by both of these guys. Both very hard races. Neither of them giving each other an inch, but showing each other plenty of respect out there.
Yeah, and that's sort of in line with what I was saying earlier about Hardigan. When Hardigan was following Foster, Hardigan thought about making the move and Foster into the bus stop, but he didn't go for it because the Foster was his teammate. Because Martin was not a teammate, he was more comfortable to make that move into the bus stop, and he would just in that scenario think to himself, well, if I make contact with Martin, so be it. It's not going to be consequential to the team.
Yeah, 100%. And you can see Skurlock's gone a little bit wide there, but he comes in closer and seems to get a nice exit out of that turn. But meanwhile, Foster's sort of ranging in the back there. And they've all dropped into the 115s, although Martin on that last lap was a 16.1.
Yeah, but that would also include that excursion on the grass and giving up that position to Hardigan.
100%, yeah. So now we're down to 9 laps to go.
Yeah, just a move that's happened in the last couple of laps was Kai Sloggett finally got that move done on Danny G. Kai Sloggett, after a qualifying run that maybe wasn't the best of what Sloggett was able to get out, but he's been able to move up 5 places since the start. He's got himself into 6th place now, but it looks like 6th is probably where he's going to finish, as he's 17 seconds behind JCW.
Yeah, this is pretty good. I mean, we haven't seen Danny G for a little while. This is his second race back in ANZCAR, so yeah, really good to see him back and getting up through the field.
Yeah, biggest mover so far is Nathan Clyde. He started back in 25th place. And he started in about 21st-ish. But he's got himself into 14th now, so he's and it looks like he's catching Norman Clark, so Clive could still gain another couple of positions yet.
Yeah, with what's he, about 2.5 seconds behind Norman Clark. Norman Clark did a 17.4, Clive a 15.3, so it's only a matter of time. He will catch him. Up at the front here, though, things have closed down dramatically. Martin's only about 30 seconds behind, 0.3 of a second behind Hardigan. Skurlock is about 1/10 behind Martin, so it's getting, it's really coming on.
Oh, here we go. Skurlock, he's making that move on Jason Martin, and he's made that stick.
Yeah. Oh, something's happened to Martin. He's hit the tyres, he's hit the wall, I'm not sure.
So he let Skurlock through, and he's done what he's done exactly what Raymond Yeager did earlier on in this race, and it's so easy to do. Just unsettle the rear of the car, and that's all it takes. That wall is so close on that right hand side,
and that's played right into Ed Foster's hands. That's brought him up into 3rd place.
Yeah, and all of a sudden that is not what Skurlock wanted. Skurlock would have wanted Martin, or would have wanted Foster as far down as possible, so that Skurlock can get that number 1 place into the playoff. So that driving 1st place has probably the biggest advantage, and has more margin for error if they have a poor race in the first round of the playoffs. And Martin is really struggling with his car now with that damage, and that could almost see JCW factor in and maybe get JCW into 4th, which would be a fantastic result for JCW. He's missed a few races this season.
Yeah,
he's struggled since his Daytona 500 win.
Yeah, he has missed a few races due to work commitments this season, so it'd be nice to see him get up for a top 5 finish. Be very interesting to see the time differential here as when they go across the line. Skurlock's about 1 second behind Hardigan, but certainly not giving up at all. Their times now have pretty much started to even out. 14.96 by Hardigan, 14.97 by Skurlock.
Yeah, but we noticed Skurlock at the end of each stint, he seems to be better better off on his tyres than Hardigan, so we'll see what happens. They were almost dead even in lap times on the previous lap. It's 8/10 the gap.
Absolutely, and we're seeing Martin fight back here for a car with some obvious damage. He's not calling it quits. He is all over the back of Foster.
Yeah, it shows number one how tough these cars are, and two, the driving talent of Jason Martin. That even with that contact, it hasn't hurt the speed of the car all that much, and yes, it's cost him a chance at the race win, but he can still end up on the podium if Foster doesn't fight too hard.
Yeah, it's certainly not over yet. They've got 5 laps of racing to go, and anything can happen in 5 laps.
Yeah, anything can happen, and it usually does in these stock car races. There can be a lot that can happen in a short space of time. It's just the nature of these cars, the tyres, fuel, everything.
Absolutely. That last lap, 16.3 by Foster, 16.4 by Martin, 15.9 by JCW. Up the front, Hardigan 15.13, Skurlock 15.11, so there's nothing in it.
Yeah, they've stabilised quite nicely. It's going to be a good finish between those two. It's going to be a good finish for third. Martin's maybe dropped back just a little bit. He was a bit closer than that on previous laps. He might have just made that mistake on the exit of turn 1, and it might have dropped him back a couple of tenths. He's closed right back up in the bus stop, so I think under brakes Martin's got the advantage on Foster.
Yeah, I think so. It looks like we've had an issue with Stephen Williams on that last lap.
Yeah, he's just had a spin at turn 1, no biggie. He's been able to gather it up, and he's going to continue on. He's in 10th place at the moment. He was sort of driving in no man's land before he made that mistake. It looks like the top 10 is pretty settled, except for the battle for the lead and battle for third. Skurlock's actually closed in massively on Hardigan. I think Hardigan's made a mistake somewhere.
Skurlock's down to he's down to 4/10 of a second behind Hardigan. I think Hardigan is the same as what we were looking at last time. His tyres are starting to go off. You can see the back of the car starting to wiggle a little bit. He's trying to keep it all together. And Skurlock knows this. He's looking for the opportunity.
Yeah, it's whether Skurlock can get enough momentum to make a lunge in the dying laps. You don't want to make the move too early, because that gives the car behind to regroup, and with the draft, because these cars punch a massive hole in the air, that can make all the difference in the world if you make that overtake too early.
Yep, and Skurlock had just a little moment coming out of the last turn there, but he just seems to be that much better on the brakes going into turn 1 as well.
Yeah, Foster and Martin, they've found their pace against it. They've probably both of them have just settled. They just took a bit of pace off the last few laps to phase them back in for the end of this race, as Dortonak's actually gone off at the bus stop. So that could hurt the leaders if they catch him at the wrong spot. And they're catching him up behind Dortonak now. It's a bit of lap traffic for these leaders to contend with in these dying laps.
Whoa, Hardigan has a big tank slapper coming out of Carousel.
Yeah, it looks spectacular for us, but those tyres are going to be hurting. That rear end is squirming big time.
Absolutely, the nerves are going to be up. Skurlock's going to be back there just looking at Hardigan, waiting for him to make a mistake so he can pounce. He knows that he's got lap traffic coming up, so he's going to hope that...
The lap traffic is not good lap traffic, because that's the battle for 12th place, Norman Clark and Nathan Clyde. Dortonak was good. He pulled off to the side to let the leaders through. But it's hard to see Clark and Clive being as as friendly as that, as they're desperately trying to cling on.
You might see Clive being a teammate, a JP Simshed teammate. He might back off to let Hardigan through, but Clive's got no allegiances. He's racing for position, so
Clive's going straight ahead at the bus stop. So Clive has let the leaders through, and so is now. Oh, Clark, gee, Hardigan was way
so
deep into that quarter, and the two teammates have almost collided.
He was so close to Clark, and that was probably the worst place that you want to be overtaking anyone, let alone your teammate. But it kind of worked in their favour. However, Skurlock is very good under brakes here, although Hardigan just has a lead, and this is the final lap. It's almost all over, but we can still have anything happen. So we've got the one lap to go by hybrid racing simulations, and Hardigan I'm sure his knuckles are going to be absolutely white by now.
Yeah, Skurlock made the mistake on the final corner of the previous lap. He just slid wide, and that's what cost him a couple of tenths. And that could cost Skurlock the race win.
And he's ranging up, though. I mean, he's not giving up, not at all.
Oh, I definitely wouldn't be giving up. Martin's closing in on Foster. It's going to be a grandstand finish for the podium. We don't know where these guys, what the podium is going to be. As they approach 2 final corners.
Yeah, let's face it. Would you give up?
Absolutely not. You race to the end.
It's not over until you cross that finish line and the checkered flag comes out. But at this stage, it's looking fairly good for Hardigan, and he takes a well-deserved race win with Michael Skurlock in second place. Ed Foster just holding out Jason Martin for third, so it's a JP Simshed first and third. They'll be very, very happy with that, and great racing by everyone.
Yeah, and down the order, just saw Nathan Clive. He lost out in that lap traffic when he went straight ahead at that bus stop. That allowed Dortonac to get back through. Well, so Nathan Clive, he looked like he was going to pass Clark for third, or for 12th rather, but instead he's actually lost the place, and still the biggest mover, or equal biggest mover, Nathan Clive, with James Robbie. So those guys have done a good race, had a good race in relation to their grid place starting position.
Yeah, fantastic driving by everyone tonight.
And there we go, victory burnouts for the 051 JP Simshed car, sponsored by Drive Sim Racing.
Yeah, well-deserved win. Hardigan certainly had the pace tonight, and he raced back from third for a really good win.
Yeah, it's the good combination of pace and just being on that the correct strategy with that track position, where Skurlock was faster for maybe half that race, but he wasn't fast enough to get a good run on Hardigan.
Absolutely. So let's go through our race results with Hardigan first place, Michael Skurlock in second, Ed Foster rounding out third place for a JP Simshed first and third, Jason Martin in fourth, JCW in fifth, Kai Sloggett sixth, Danny G in seventh, Hamish Gallagher in eighth, Josh Micklemore ninth, Steve Williams rounding out the top 10 with Ayrton Smith in third, Ayrton Smith in 11th, Norman Clark in 12th, Mirko Dortnack in 13th, 14th Nathan Clive, 15th Adam Roswell, James Robbie in 16th, 17th Matt Hunter, Devon Stove 18th, 19th Aidan Schultz, 20th Phil Otto, 21st there Bradley Allison, and with Tristan Koch 22nd, 23rd Lachlan, 24th Rossi Johnson, Billy Hickey in 25th, Raymond Yeager 26, and 27th Stuart Patterson. So racing's done. Let's see if we can grab some of these guys and get them up into in for an interview. So first off, let's get Ed Foster down here. Ed Foster, JP here, third place tonight. Fantastic. Congratulations, mate.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I'm absolutely thrilled with that. Most of the time, as you know, I come to road courses and I kind of hope for a top 10. So to be up there in P3, I'm absolutely thrilled. That's probably the most pleasantly surprising result of the season for me.
Yeah, we saw you go in early with Jason Martin for your pit stop. We thought, well, you're looking for the undercut there, and you certainly got it on Jason Hardigan, but man, didn't he fight back?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we weren't in communication during the race because in the road courses, I tend to like to keep a lot of quiet on the radio, just so I can focus on what I'm doing because I find them a lot more difficult than I do the ovals. So we weren't talking to each other. I'd already told Jason I was probably going to go for an undercut at some stage, and it just so happened that Martin came in the same lap as I was going to. And then, yeah, he kind of ranged up behind me, and I thought for a while because it was actually quite difficult to follow up through the S's because of the aero wash, and I was thinking that maybe I'd be able to keep him at bay, and then I made a mistake through the bus stop. I thought, nah, now's the time to let him go, because the way it was looking, it didn't look as though I was going to be able to catch Martin. I was kind of putting pressure on him, but wasn't really able to look at making a move. So I thought, okay, we'll let Hardigan have a go at it. So he went by and got it done. Unfortunately, that meant dropping a spot to Skurlock as well. I tried fighting for it, but he was too quick as well. But yeah, I would have been thrilled with fourth or fifth even. So to come home third, I'm absolutely stoked with.
Yeah, fantastic. And you guys have had a great run this week as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, we've been competing across the two active ANZCAR series at the moment. The Grand National course runs Wednesday night, so that was last night. And managed to pick up the win there with Hardigan in second and Josh Garrett-Walden, he got in fourth place. And, of course, tonight I grabbed the 1-3-5, I believe it was, in the end for the three of us again. So, it has been a strong period for us. We've changed the way that we're doing a couple of things just sort of in preparation for the races as well. So, and that's paid almost immediate dividends. So I think you're seeing the result of that now. I've got to say thanks to all the guys on the team because they helped me identify a couple of places on this track where I was particularly weak and helped me sort those out. So it just turns out that tonight, one of those areas that I was weakest in a few days ago, I was actually gaining time on just about everybody today. So shouts out to them as well because they definitely helped get me here.
Yeah, fantastic. Any shout outs that you'd like to give to sponsors or friends?
Yeah, certainly. So, obviously I already gave a shout out to the team boys, but of course we've got the sponsors, don't we, who are so important to us here at JPSS. So we've got Goodyear Auto, Kiwarana, Abruzzi Raceway, Cars for Hope, Dragon RC, Track Racer, Drive Sim, Nationwide Tracking Systems as well. All these guys that support us. And, we, of course, try our absolute best to bring home the results for those guys as well. I'll also like to give a shout out to Sato for jumping in the comment box tonight. Thanks very much for filling in. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was probably the best race to jump in and commentate. I'm more used to the road courses than the ovals, and you guys made sure that there was action for that entire race.
Yeah, that wasn't intentional, mate. I prefer to be way out the front on my own, but if we're going to have some racing, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations again, Ed, and off with you to celebrate, and 2 more rounds until the chase.
Yeah, it's coming up quickly, isn't it? This year's almost flown by, as crazy as 2020's been. So we'll be into the chase soon, and the other ANZCAR series are just going to continue ticking along in the background as well, and they'll be wrapping up about the same time. And then, of course, we're going to have the All-Star race at the end of the year as well. So looking forward to that. So it should be a big end to the year for everyone in ANZCAR, really, but hopefully for me more than most. But I guess we'll see how that turns out.
Fantastic. All right, well, we'll see you next week.
Thanks. Bye.
See ya. All right, that was Ed Foster. Let's see if we can find Michael.
Mr. Skurlock.
Mr.
maybe.
Skurlock, Michael Skurlock, here he is. Michael Skurlock, P2, congratulations, mate.
Oh, thanks, bud. Yeah, that was a nail biter, mate. That one.
Mate, I was sitting on the edge of my seat for the entire race. I saw Jason got an early lead, but you didn't let him have it his own way. You really started to peg him back and sort of make grounds on him.
Yeah, man. The whole race, I just had me chin. I was leaning over so much, man. My chin was sitting on the bloody wheel, and I was just stressing out, like, because the thing is literally, it's like trying to ride full banana skins around there. So as soon as you dab that throttle a little bit, you get a bit excited. Like, I thought I could get Jason near the end, and I'm like, had one stab of it, and the thing just lit up, and then I almost just made a mess of it and crashed. So it's so hard to actually make a move. But yeah, no, Jason drove well. I know he's good on the road, so, you know, I mean, that's probably the closest race I've had ever. Like, that lasted a whole race, you know what I mean? Normally, you know, for the first 10 laps or so, you're close, and then someone drives away. But that's probably the longest, like, intense thing I've ever done.
Yeah, it was great to see, mate. Fantastic entertainment for us. Unfortunately, Carl couldn't be here tonight. He had some computer issues, so I would have been terrified had it have been an oval, a proper oval race, because I don't know what I'm talking about on the ovals. But, mate, you guys gave us a real spectacle tonight. It was great to watch.
Oh, cheers for filling in. Thanks for keeping the show going.
Happy to do it with the sort of racing that you guys deliver week in, week out. So, any shout-outs that you'd like to give?
Yeah, shout out to Jason Martin and Edward for improving so much, because, you know, a year or two back, those guys wouldn't have been anywhere near that. And, like, you know, I thought Jason Martin was going to get pole there. So, man, they're both heaps better. So if they keep getting that better and better, then, man, it's going to be harder and harder over the years to come, I think.
Yeah, it's
and
gonna.
Yeah, sorry, mate. I was Pace Syndicate, Blip Clothing, BLIP Clothing, and Worm Paints. They're the major ones. And shout out to me boy James Robbie, who's finally back. He's been on a bit of a hiatus for a while, so it's good to have him back.
Fantastic, mate.
We made the comment about Robbie as well. He was the biggest mover in the field tonight, so he's shown he's got that good racecraft, and once he gets back into the swing of things, that could be in good stead for him clawing back up to the front of the field.
Yeah, no, he knows what he's doing. He's got some inferior gear at the moment he's having to deal with because he got rid of some of his good stuff. But and he's had a big break. And he said, you know, this is the worst thing to come back to, is straight back into 50-degree heat, I think it was, at the end at Watkins Glen, you know. So, no, he's more of the oval guy, and he's definitely good on the dirt. So, no, he'll be better next week. Oh, and sorry, before you, thanks to you guys, even though I said thanks anyway, but thanks again.
Mate, you're more than welcome. Like I said, with the kind of racing and the kind of entertainment that you guys turn on week in, week out, it's great to be able to broadcast this, and you guys make it easy for us to call it as well. So once again, congratulations on second place. Looking forward to what you can deliver next week, and onwards and upwards.
Yep. Cheers, boys. Thank you.
All right, that was Michael Skurlock. So let's bring down tonight's race winner, Jason Hardigan. Jason, congratulations. Winner, chicken dinner, mate.
Yeah, cheers, buddy. Thank you.
That was some heart-in-mouth stuff there, mate. You got a great lead there early on in the piece, and then Michael Skurlock started to claw back at you, but you kept it out front there.
Yeah. I had this weird little period on both stints where for about 5 or 10 laps the old tyres just went off, but near the end of the stints again they came back. So I don't know what I was doing weird, but yeah, but that was hard work with Skurlock behind me the whole time, and probably gave you guys some entertainment when I took Martin around the outside.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have called it entertainment. My eyes were about as wide as dinner plates.
Nah, it's all in good fun.
Absolutely, mate. But well done. You know, really great racing, great entertainment, really close racing all night tonight. I mean, You had control of the race, but Michael Skurlock didn't make it easy for you.
No, he certainly didn't. And the track was just so hot. I think it got up above 50 degrees, and the tyres just cooked. So I mean, I could see him sliding. I was sliding. Martin was sliding. We were all sliding around everywhere. So it was basically just whoever could keep it together the longest would win it. So lucky enough, it was me.
Well, yep, you were able to keep it together the longest. So well done, mate. Well done on the win. Well deserved. So any shout outs you'd like to give?
Shout out to you guys, Jake, for popping in for this race. Shout out to all the boys in the team. We worked pretty hard during the week to get to where we are now. I know Ed picked up a lot during the week, so and just all our sponsors, Drive Sim, Goodyear, Dragon RC, NTS, and Abruzzi, and all the boys in the team. Yeah, it's been a good week.
Fantastic, mate. Well done once again. Congratulations, and look forward to seeing what you can come up with next week at Dover.
Yeah, well, I'll be trying to defend my crown there. Won it earlier on in the year, so see what I can do.
Fantastic, mate. You have a good one. You enjoy the win.
Cheers, buddy. Will do. Thanks.
Cheers. And that was Jason Hardigan, our race winner. Well, what an exciting race. So, Jake, any thoughts there?
Yeah, just still buzzing from that just action throughout the field, and it didn't get settled until they crossed the finish line. Both that battle for the lead and the battle for third place. Martin may be a bit unlucky not to finish on that podium if he doesn't have that crash at the bus stop, but he did well to keep up with Foster, and he might take some confidence in that he can keep the pace up with a damaged car, and he might be able to bring that over to Dover, where he had a brilliant race with Hardigan last week, so hopefully it can be part 2 of that intriguing battle.
Yeah, 100%. Looking forward to seeing what these guys can bring for Dover next week. So as we said, next week it'll be 200 laps of Dover. So some more interesting racing, some more close racing from the ANZCAR Abruzzi Cup. Before we wrap up, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Abruzzi Raceway, Virtual Motorsport Mentor, Hybrid Racing Simulations, iLiveries, Track Cams 22, these fantastic camera angles that you're seeing are bought by Track Cams for Gourmet. If you want to get into that and improve your stream, trackcams22.com, check them out. And as far as the broadcasting next week, we're back on Monday night with the Club Day Masters. The MX5s will be at Oran Park next week. On Tuesday night, we've got the Nationwide Tracking Systems V8 Evolution Championship. This week was pretty exciting stuff, wouldn't you say, Jake?
Yeah. Racing's always been exciting.
Yep.
Racing's on next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Next week we've got Monza for Split 1 on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday we'll play the replay of Split 2. And of course, on Thursday, every Thursday, we've got the ANZCAR Abruzzi Cup. So I think we're about that time. We've finished. Everything's done for the evening. So from me, I'm going to say good night. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Jake, for jumping in and being my wingman and for this round. It was great having you.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. Always happy to fill in for Carl if he's unavailable. Hopefully he's back next week and has those computer problems sorted.
Yeah, I hope he's back next week because I'll be nowhere calling an oval race on my own. All right, so from both Jake and myself, good night. Thanks for joining us, and look forward to seeing you for the next broadcast.
Woo. Yeah, no worries. Well, I know much better. It just helps when there's action. There's no action, I'm a bit of a struggle.